I hope you guys are having a good week so far. And welcome. This is the new time that we will be doing live. So Thursday's live will be the same time as today's, but we will be taking $5 donations to ask a celebrity question and get it answered because we're doing a fundraiser for a longtime supporter of the channel who is going through a rough time right now and facing eviction due to circumstances out of their control. And if you would also like to help, you can use code 50 at checkout on psychicbellalove.com, and that will take 50% off your appointment, and 50% of the proceeds will go to help them out. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Mimi. Hi, Ronnie. Hi, Donna. Hey, Ronette. Oh, thank you. My eyeliner kind of came out a little more intense than I intended it to, and my hair was very poofy today. It always is like the first day that like I blow it out and then it calms down the next couple of days. So, hey, Sherry. Hi, Dario. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Ashley. Lindsay, if I blow dry my hair out, I always end up curling it because it does not want to stay straight. So, oh no, it looks like I got stuck on the screen for a second. Again, guys, it's Mercury retrograde. If there's any buffering or anything like that, I can't help it. Just hang on a moment and we'll be back. So, you guys, we had the craziest storm. We had the craziest weekend over here, first of all, but we had the craziest storm on Saturday after the live ended. It was like just thunder and lightning, and it would sprinkle like a teeny tiny bit here and there. But one of the neighbors told me, because it went on for hours, that I guess it set some record for like the most amount of times that like lightning has touched down during one storm in this area or something. And it started a bunch of little like fires all across the state and everything. So then on Sunday, I was like taking the garbage out. And on Sundays, I am the laziest bee that exists because that's my only day off. But I actually decided that I was gonna like go through all the closets and like declutter and get rid of things. And so I was going back and forth taking trash out, and I go to take the rest of the trash out, and there's like all these freaking fire trucks in our complex. I'm like, what in the hell happened? Apparently, one of the neighbors' dryers caught on fire because like the lint was so like thick and old and everything in the pipe or the dryer exhaust. I forget what it's called. So that building was like outside. It was like crazy. So this hurricane season has been crazy. I'm always like, please turn back into the ocean. Right? Oh my God. And then there was that huge earthquake in Morocco. Oh my God, my heart is just so broken for them. So it's just been insane weather because we don't usually get storms like this often here. So, oh, thank you, Karma. And the VMAs are tonight, you guys. I'm so sad because if I had known in advance, I would have been able to like switch things around and tried to schedule tonight off, but I have to work, so I'll be tuning in between calls, trying to catch up and see what was going on. And we will have our first Nikki dedicated live in Patreon on Saturday. So remember, we are only doing Nikki content at this time over in Patreon because the duds and the clowns are watching and we don't want them to know anything about the Queen's next moves. So you can go to patreon.com/psychicbellalove if you only want Nikki content. There is a Barb's Only tier, and if you want any access to the rest of the Patreon, make sure you read what each tier includes. And on Wednesday in Patreon, Mr. Dario De Niro is going to join us because we found out some real shady shit about the Kardashians and their businesses that nobody has brought up yet that we're going to be exposing tomorrow. So if you want to be in on that, join us on Patreon. All my information is pinned at the top. Why is it on a Tuesday? I know. So Cali and hurricane season are not what I put together, right? Not at all. If we had a call with you, we would watch together while we do commentary on the phone. You know what's so funny is that the people that I'm talking to tonight, it's 2 longer calls. They're both men of a certain age that do not pay any attention to any of the stuff that goes on in pop culture. So I was like, I know these clients, I can't even be like, hey, what do you think of the VMAs? Like, no, they wouldn't even know what I was talking about. So I'm gonna have to wait. I always thought award shows were on Fridays or the weekends. We have it on a Tuesday night. The views will automatically be down. Yeah, aren't they usually on like Sundays? At least that's the way that I thought. I mean, at least for other award shows. I can't, honestly, I haven't watched any MTV awards in so long, so I couldn't tell you if it when they usually have it or not. Like, I just watched the portion last time where Nikki got the Vanguard Award and performed, and that's usually the only time that I do. It's like, okay, Nikki or Kanye or somebody that I actually like, had a performance at one of these shows. I'll pull up the performance clip on YouTube, or usually, because the thing is too, the blogs like keep everybody updated. Oh, this person won Best New Artist at the BET Awards, and this person got the Soul Train Award for Best Song of the Year, so it's like, I always kind of feel like I can just go on Shade Room and find out rather than that. The VMAs are usually earlier in the month. Nobody wasn't even worried about VMAs until they put Nikki's stamp on it. Pretty much AW. I mean, there's no way in hell that I would even be checking to see what's going on at it if Nikki wasn't involved. So, like, before school starts for the kids. Yeah, I thought it used to be in August. Are they doing it because then it coincides with Fashion Week? Did they change it for that reason? Because it's like, oh, if everybody's going to be here anyways. But, I mean, I'll just say this and then we'll get into the topics that we have on the board today, which were chosen by my patrons. Of course, Doja is getting #1s. Don't be surprised when she doesn't win a Grammy, because she's being rewarded for being the industry's little demon right now. So, and because she has the industry support, there's a lot of playlisting and payola and things like that are going to happen for her. Her and Carlos, honestly, are going to be in competition at this point to see who can be the biggest payola queen, to prove a point. So, but I was thinking too, because I just randomly, something that I was listening to earlier had a clip of that Madonna song, Hung Up, playing, and I was thinking, this is actually the perfect song for Carlos. I'm sitting around waiting on you, but I'm getting fed up waiting for you. But every little thing that you say or do, like, I'm so hung up on you, I gotta keep up with it. Since Chris Brown doesn't perform anymore, you don't watch the shows either, right? I mean, and that's the thing. The Chris Brown performances were always guaranteed to be a good time. These days, it's just be a mess. No, I haven't heard anything. That's what Mimi, because I saw people at first when the song first dropped, where people were saying, okay, this sucks, but I could see if people clip it the right way that it might go viral on TikToks and Reels. I haven't heard or come across, because I'm not on TikTok and I'm not going to be, but you know, most people repost TikToks on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts anyway, so that's also why it's like, do I really need to make a TikTok account and let the Chinese government have my info if I could still see the same content where Mark Zuckerberg already has my info? So, but I haven't seen anybody use any part of that song as the sound for anything. That's the thing, Hannah. I've only heard Doja's song on Reels. But this is the thing, guys, where I think it's so dumb. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong, okay? But I really do think it is so incredibly stupid how Billboard counts radio play for so much. Do you guys listen to the radio? Because the only time that the radio comes on in my car is if I accidentally hit the freaking radio button when I'm trying to change it, and I have an older car, so I have to use an aux cable when I'm trying to change it to go to aux mode so that I can stream music in the car from my phone. But and most of the time, to be honest with you, because I use my phone all day for work, you know, whether it's streaming content or talking to clients, usually my phone is charging in the car, so I'm not even streaming anything anyways. Or if I am, I'm listening to it through my wireless headsets while it's streaming and charging in the car. But I'm not listening to, I can't even tell you, like, it's been years. Like, I was trying to think about that. It was, like, literally the last time that I have sat there and, like, listened to the actual radio was only in my car. And literally the last time I can remember doing that, to be honest with you, was maybe when I very first got my car and I needed to get a new aux cable for it. And I've had my car for, like, 6 years now. So... And I bought that aux cable, I know, the day after I got my car. That was probably the last time. Before that, it had been years too. So I don't know anybody that listens to the radio. And I mean, that's the other thing too. We're in a culture where if you can skip commercials, you're going to skip commercials, right? I mean, that's my whole thing too. I pay for YouTube Premium because I listen to YouTube Music as my streaming service. And I don't want to listen to a bunch of come on down to Carl's Boot Shack and get yourself some boots this winter, like commercials every 5 minutes. Well, that's the thing too, Ashley. And the last time that I remember even listening to the radio, I was listening to the oldies channel. So if you play the radio in your car, you'll have to stage immediately, right? And that's the other thing too, is like, let's just be honest, like, so much of this music is, like, outwardly so freaking demonic these days that I don't want to accidentally listen to that kind of stuff. I like to control what I'm listening to. And I'll tell you guys, what gets streamed in my car the most is Kanye, because my kid loves Kanye, and Tory Lanez, because my kid loves Tory Lanez. Like, I was listening to him listen to Alone at Prom when he was taking a shower last night because he had his wireless speaker in there, and I could hear him singing along. But we don't, you know, we mostly listen to Kanye, and we listen to Kanye's Christian music on the way to school in the morning. And usually closed on Sunday because that's my son's favorite song. And then my favorite is Father Stretch My Hands. And then on the way home, we're like listening to Stronger or one of, you know, the more hype songs because he wants to like get it out after he's been at school all day long. Which I have to say, I really am blessed that my kid is going to be 13 in December and he's not embarrassed by me yet. He's embarrassed by his dad, but not me yet. And one day we were coming over the overpass and the school bus pulled up next to us and we were like going off to Stronger. And I told my kid, I was like, oh, do you want me to stop and turn it off? Because like I saw the bus coming and he's like, no, Mom, you enjoy yourself, and like turn the music up even louder. So my kid doesn't care about anything. He's funny. You and the kids listen to Good Life almost every morning. See, we always want to like set the tone. And kiddo loves Kanye. He loves the Monster too. Closed on Sunday is one of your favorites too. Oh my gosh, when the beat drops and dun 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 dun, Kanye, stand up for my home. I'm just like, ah, like I love that part of the song. So Good Life is like one of the best songs to start the day. It really is. And every morning when I get home, I listen to Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson to get my energy up for my day too. So, all right, guys. So what in the heck is going on with Teyana and Iman? Because all of a sudden, like this, the weird thing is that like I saw some blogs that I follow said something about like, oh, like one of the girls that they said that he was dealing with like responded and said that she's like an artist on his label or something like that, and they were in the studio and people were making something out of nothing, but they didn't post why she was responding to that. And then all of a sudden there was all these other women that everybody was saying that he was with, and I was like, okay, I apparently missed something while my neighbor's apartment was catching on fire. Like, what the hell happened? I mean, I think everybody knew he was cheating. And I will say this because I originally was, you know, going to become a therapist or a social worker. And I'm friends with a lot of marriage and family therapists. And I have several as clients too. And every last one of them has told me, the worst thing that you can ever do is bring other people into your bed, whether it is, oh, we just have threesomes on vacation, or we actually have like a full, real, open relationship. And they were like, it never works out, no matter, it always ends, and it always ends horribly because somebody catches feelings for somebody outside of the relationship, or one person doesn't want to do it anymore and the other person does, or somebody thinks, oh, well, you know, who cares about the rules? I'll ask for forgiveness later, and starts doing their own thing, and it just always ends up becoming some sort of a disaster. So I'm not surprised if that's what happens, but let's see, because then I saw other people, is this confirmed or not? Because I saw a bunch of people saying they've been separated, and I was like, when did they get separated? I must have missed that. Y'all can let me know in the comments. I'm just gonna pull cards and see what Spirit has to say about this situation, just in general. Well, listen, I mean, I would rather see people at least attempt to be poly rather than be that person that can't stay faithful, but you keep dragging people into relationships, you know, and claiming monogamy. But it always seems to get messy. No, I am not sharing. I'm just saying that I am not sharing. And I just want to say this too, ladies. There is no part of being a spiritual person that includes being a polyamorous person, okay? The two are not mutually exclusive, and being polyamorous is not a spiritual concept. Because there's a lot of people out here who want to play the fake spiritual guru and then be trying to convince everybody that they're supposed to be poly with that person. And usually being poly with that person means it's a guy with a harem anyways, and he's using the spiritual aspect of it just to try to start some kind of weird cult. And so don't fall for that shit. Real, like, if you really think about, like, real spiritual people like Gandhi, they were, like, celibate. Real spiritual people you can be sexual. There's nothing wrong with being a sexual person. Let me just make this clear. Without sleeping with everybody, because really very spiritual people protect their sexual energy because you need to. So I'm just saying, you know, like, I see a lot of people, you know, going around and trying to spread this nonsense, and they're also always vegan too. And it's like, you're just a vegan polygamist, like, but you're not spiritual, and none of this has to do with being spiritual. Yes, and I've seen people trying to also say that BDSM is a spiritual thing too. I'm like, oh my God, like, are we just gonna call everything a part of the spiritual community now? Is it moved on from let's shove everything under the LGBTQ community, and now it's all part of the spirituality community too? Like, create your own community for that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be included in a pre-existing one. You don't have to force your way into every space. You can create your own rooms. Yeah, it did kind of seem like that, Sherry. So we'll see. I asked the cards in spirit, what is their, you know, dynamic of their relationship and everything right now. And narcissists do that too. You know, it's not always just people who have an addiction to sex. A lot of times it's also narcissistic people, because then they guarantee that they have a bigger supply of attention and energy when they need somebody to drain for themselves. And then, you know, because narcissists love to triangulate and pin their romantic partner against an ex or a friend you don't need to worry about, or that kind of stuff too, to force you to try to compete and earn their love and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a hell of a lot easier to do that when you got 5 girls competing to be your #1 girlfriend, because they agreed to your nonsense polygamy lifestyle with you. I like the role he plays on the Chai. Not a lot of people can go from the NBA to acting. Well, listen, exactly, Ashley. I mean, listen, I'm not here to kink shame anybody. You're into what you're into. Just do it safely, and don't, you know, be just in general with your energy. Be very careful who you allow to have access to that. Don't give your good energy to bad people, regardless of if it's your sexual energy or your empathy or your attention or compassion or whatever. And it doesn't mean go around being a raging bitch at people. It just means some people need to stay acquaintances and not know too much about you, and you need to stop thinking everybody's your friends, you know? And keep more of your business to yourself. So, all right, let's see. Things really changed for them after they had this second child. And Spirit saying up until then, of course, there were moments, and she's always been very aware of, you know, okay, he's a guy and he's an athlete and he's got women throwing themselves at him, and they've dealt with it privately. But now it's like they really grew apart after the second child was born. She felt like he really lost like all interest in her after this. And I do get that she tried to do a lot, whether it was spiritual work, whether it was trying to create family events. There was like all kinds of stuff that she was trying to do to put the relationship back together again and put it back on track and reignite the spark, including bringing other people into the bedroom because she thought that's what he wanted. And Spirit saying that, you know, that was bothering her. Not that Teyana doesn't have her freak side and all of that, but it was more like, I'm doing this because that's what my man wants, and if I do it, then in her head it was more like, you know, you're less likely to go outside if I'm bringing it to you, and then I'm in control of that happening and I'm aware of it, rather than, you know, getting blindsided because I pull up a blog and you're on it with some chick, you know, getting exposed like Trash Can did, you know, for making out those girls in the club. So things really kind of just went down their hill ever since. And Spirit said that it really did kind of come to blows in a point where she sort of put up this ultimatum with him and said, I'm walking away, we're being separated. She was hoping that this was going to make him miss her and want to work things out. So finding all of this out on the blogs, you know, and seeing him out and everything. And she's aware also that he's been doing his own thing since then too, but she thought he'll be careful. Like, he's not gonna be sloppy and let it get out there, and maybe he just needs to get out of his system and he's gonna want to put our family back together. But he hasn't really been trying to work things out with her, nor, you know, has she felt like, okay, we're actually gonna go there. And I feel her being really disappointed because she thought, you know, like, oh, like, I'm gonna give you something to miss and then you're gonna want it back. And now it's like, no, you don't even care if you're seen with other girls. That really seems to me like you're trying to make a point to me, like, I'm done. But he hasn't said outright to her that he's absolutely done yet. They are gonna have a conversation about it soon though. And yeah, don't be surprised, guys. We're gonna hear about them filing for divorce soon. Expect they're probably gonna do it on like a holiday. The reason, if you haven't noticed, why a lot of celebrities file for divorce on holidays is because they're hoping, obviously, that it's like, oh, like, because wasn't, because I'm trying to think of who was the most recent one. I think it was like Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner filed on like Labor Day weekend, because they're hoping, obviously, everybody's gonna be out celebrating, and then on top of it, there's gonna be all these parties and events going on, so there's gonna be other celebrities out and about, and so maybe that will take all the attention off of our divorce, because you're gonna go and, you know, have all these pictures of Beyonce at somebody's party, and that'll make top billing, and my divorce will be 15 stories down on page 6, you know, on come Monday. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear that they're filing for divorce on like Halloween or something. So this is really sad, you guys. I feel bad for her. She's very heartbroken over this. I feel like she was very frustrated, but it was just like, you know, how sometimes you're just like really fed up. You walk away from something. You're like, oh, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Then when you realize like, oh, maybe they're not going to figure it out and they're not going to change, then it's like reality hits and you realize that now you have to actually grieve that relationship. So let me see how he feels about everything, because this ended up all coming from Teyana's perspective. And she really does feel sad too, because the girls obviously are extremely close to both of their parents and really love their dad. Yes, Ashley, that's what I said when I said that she was doing spiritual work and trying to, you know, do family things, vacations, whatever she could to try to bring the things back. Don't forget, there's a reason why some of these girls are friends with Erykah Badu, and it's because she's a witch. And everybody in the industry does spiritual work for, you know, not all because of love stuff, but obviously because they want roles, or they want their CD to do well, or their album to do well, or they want, you know, somebody else to stop fucking with them, or to be protected because they know everybody else is doing work in the industry, but they all do spiritual work. Just because Azalea Banks is one of the few, or Erykah Badu, you know, or two of the few that'll actually let you know, or Summer Walker, every last one of them is doing it. Even if they say, oh, I don't do that, I'm Catholic or whatever, they're still doing it. Mine smelled the Badu incense. Oh my god. How does Iman feel about Teyana and their marriage? Thank you. I mean, listen, there's a reason why people say that, you know, for most of these like athletes, you can't date them or settle down with them until they're retired, because, you know, they are gonna be city to city, place to place, and there is way too much temptation on the road, and you're not around, you know, and it just ends up being a disaster for most of them. Although honestly, I think the best thing, if you were going to be in any industry, would be to be asexual and aromantic. Because you can't trust none of these people. So they're always, doesn't matter, actors, singers, you know, athletes, they're always getting cheated on and cheating on each other. And so it's just like, wouldn't that be nice? You don't have that urge and you can just only like focus on your career and protect like your energy from that. Not saying in life in general, I'm just saying if you had to be in this industry. Well, and speaking of witches too, isn't one of the girls that Iman is rumored to be connected with right now, what's her name, Mia something, and people were saying that she's like a voodoo witch online or something? I never heard of her, but I just saw like one of the blogs was posting about her, and then people in the comments saying that, and then they were trying to blame her for Iman and Teyana's problems, and I was like, oh please. he didn't only just start this. Like, come on. So it's like, if it was a different maybe, but in this situation, it's like the streets have been saying that he's been cheating their entire marriage. Like, I don't think you can blame it on this lady that he supposedly just started like hanging around with. And please, you know, don't give the clout chasers that kind of credit either. Mimi, I think for some of them, it's not even about the sex. I think it's the fact that somebody is so, I think it's the ego trip. Oh my God, look at, like, for some of them, I mean, especially some of the hockey and baseball players, like, let's be dead ass honest, like, they're ugly as sin. And they probably would have never, ever had girls checking for them if it wasn't for the fact that they're in the, you know, major leagues and making all the money that they are and everything. So I think for a lot of them, and even if they did have access to women and people that were interested in them and all of that, it's the ego trip of, oh, you're looking at me like I'm special and I'm the celebrity, and you just think that, like, if you get a night with me, like, it's gonna make your dreams come true, and this is something that you're never gonna forget. And like, they get off on that power trip and that ego trip of it, rather than it just being, oh, I wanted a piece of ass real quick. So, and some of them do end up becoming sex addicts, obviously, because they can get it so easily, like a lot of the, you know, older rock star guys. But, ugh. Yeah, definitely operating from their shadow selves. So, she had already been doing the most at her concerts, grinding all over women, awkward AF. Oh, I forgot that she was doing that. Because I thought, didn't she retire from music? Mila Dosh. That was the name. Yeah, she's an initiated high priestess. They do rituals together. It's a photo of her and Iman where she shaved her head and has the feather of the animal they sacrificed, which is photoed. Okay, but listen, like I said, you can't blame all of his stuff on her, because this is what he was doing and he would have still been doing even if he never crossed paths with her. So I'm just saying, don't give that lady all the credit and put all the blame on Iman, because he's the one that still, you know, was choosing to step out of his relationship all this time. Okay. Spirit saying, as far as how Iman feels about everything, he definitely is in his emperor phase, which is that I don't kind of give a fuck right now. I'm going to go out and do me. I've done everything that I was supposed to do with my life so far. I was a good athlete. I paid the bills. I've been a good dad. I've been a good son. I want to go out and live my life and do me. I'm not taking questions right now, guys. Hold on to them and I'll take them after I'm done with this. So, you know, he's in this energy. He also is going down a different spiritual path, so I'm also not surprised to hear that, you know, the ladies up about this path of spiritual growth. And because of that, that's also inspired him to feel like he needs to explore who he is outside of his marriage and this relationship. There's something here where he really thinks that, and Spirit saying it's something that he has convinced himself of. Okay, I'm not saying this is true, because this is all coming from where is Iman at with things right now. But he's seeing Teyana as the queen of coins, like her connection to this relationship, at least any longer, was more about the financial stability and less about the love, because Spirit's talking about him feeling like he was not entirely emotionally fulfilled and supported within this relationship. It's like she's too tough to be able to be that soft, compassionate, it's okay, baby, I'm gonna cook you dinner and give you a hug and make you feel that feminine, cared for energy that he felt like was missing in that relationship. Again, I don't know what this has to do with him cheating, because it's not like he got caught having emotional relationships. He was just out here knocking hoes down. But that's where he felt like things were going within the relationship. And so over time, he started to feel like, you're treating us as a brand. You see us as a brand. You see your career and our finances tied together, and you're not treating this like it's the romantic relationship that I wanted it to be. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel happy. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel supported. And he is at a place where it's like, yeah, she gave me an ultimatum and said, we're gonna take some time apart, and I realized that I'm happier outside of this. I didn't go chase down on it because I don't want it anymore. I'm done with it. He really feels like he's ready to move on to another chapter of his life without her. And he knows that it's going to hurt her feelings, but he also feels like he needs to do whatever he can do to be happy. There is a female around him that has been manipulative. This is not the same Mia Ladoche person that we saw earlier, that she's there in his life as more of a spiritual teacher or something like that right now. Not to say that they won't or haven't slept together. It's just he sees her as, this is my, kind of spiritual guru at the moment. Whereas there's another woman around him, and I don't feel like it's anybody that he's sleeping with though. But there is another Queen of Wands type woman who's around him, who's been in his ear about him being happier outside of the marriage. Anyways, like, oh, whenever you go on a business trip and you're away from Teyana for a while, like you just become like such a different version of yourself, Iman. You're so happy, you're so lighthearted, you seem like you enjoy yourself more. But then when you're home, you seem so stressed out, what's going on? And it's like, those little, I'm planting seeds and making you really have to think about, I probably am not happy at home. And you're right, I am happier when I'm away. And shit, I don't like where I'm at in my life. So I don't know if y'all know who this might be, because it feels like somebody who's slightly older than him too. Like maybe a manager, an agent, could even be like a family member if they're like an older cousin or sister. Not somebody who's hella older than him, like a few years, enough where he takes this person seriously as somebody that gives him good advice and knows him very well. And I'm not saying that what they say isn't true, because I do feel like there is some truth to that. However, they were laying it on thick on purpose because they don't like Teyana and they feel like Iman can do better than her. Because they feel like Teyana is kind of a tough cookie and they just don't like her energy like that. So I don't think he even felt like he was trapped up until recently, is what Spirit's saying. Because Spirit's saying Teyana feels like after their second child was born, that's when things started, and it just progressively went, more downhill until they completely were just very distant from each other. And then felt like he wasn't interested in her and her life and what she was doing. Whereas to Iman, it's like he doesn't feel like there was any certain time period. It was just more over time things changed in the relationship. And we got to a point where we were arguing a lot. And at that same time, I simultaneously realized I'm really not happy in this situation. So yeah, let's take a break and figure it out. And he figured out that he's happier without her. So I've been that, in relationships like that. I wasn't cheating or anything like that, but it was like, it just took you until you got to that point to realize, okay, I don't think that this is going to work out in the long run for me. So, well, you guys, like I said, I don't feel like this woman is a romantic, this older woman. I feel like it's just somebody that he looks up to, like, you're a sister or an aunt to me, even if they're not necessarily a sister or an aunt. That's why I said it could be, like an agent, a manager, an assistant even. Somebody, that's around him enough that he goes to for advice, and they've been, just constantly saying, you don't seem happy. And the only time I see you happy is when you're not, around your wife, basically. But she is doing it with a little bit of manipulative purposes because she doesn't like Teyana. But it's not because she wants to date Iman. It's more, yeah, I do see that you don't seem happy around her, but I don't also like her. So if she's out of the picture, it's easier for everybody. So, but I do see, I see a lot of younger people in general just saying they want to date older, but yeah, I have seen a lot of younger men saying they want that because they think that they're going to skip out on the drama. It's not, not exactly. Sometimes it's way worse when you date somebody, older than you. So now if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. Put question in front of it, please. I know, I feel really bad because they've got, two poor little kids involved in this. He's a Cancer and she's a Sagittarius. It was never gonna work. Yeah. I mean, Cancer men can definitely be big cheaters, but they also need a lot of, like, sensitivity when dealing with them. I believe the TikToker that came out a year ago who Teyana was threatening to sue, who said she was getting and going crazy when she found out he was cheating. Princess, we can't answer those types of questions on YouTube. How did Iman feel about Teyana performing lap dances with women on stage? Spirit saying he doesn't care. Also, Spirit saying that he feels like Teyana needs to go date a woman next. Not because, he feels like that's like her preference or that was affecting their marriage, but just more so like, I don't know, like he feels like she will learn a lot about herself and about dating, and maybe a woman can give her more of what she wants out of a relationship than a man can. Honestly, I could see Teyana and Kalani together. Let's see. How will the GP view Iman after the divorce? Nobody's gonna destroy that man. I mean, honestly, I feel like, of course there will be some people who are gonna vocally on social media, because people always like to be real loud in the comments on the blogs, but then that's such like a small percentage of people anyways, and then on top of it, people forget and forgive so easily. So I don't feel like it's gonna do anything that's really gonna, like, hurt him in the long run. What is Iman going to do with his career? Spirit saying, right now he's kind of on, like, don't be surprised if we don't see Iman end up being almost pretty similar to what, I always am afraid that I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. The guy that sang that song, The Classic Man, is it Teyana? He's so fine. He's on this whole, spiritual journey and reconnecting to his roots and all of that stuff and being very, hippie and all of that. I feel like we're going to see Iman do a lot of that. We'll almost see him too, like, kind of have his Will Smith moment. Remember when Will Smith just kept going to, like, the pyramids and the jungle and he was just, like, doing all this traveling? I feel Iman doing a lot of that. And then he'll come back and be, like, part of, like, a bunch of, like, investments in things. Like, James Harden got a bunch of guys together and they wanted to open up a cigar lounge. And then I also invested in this, like, tech company and, like, that kind of stuff. I feel like that's sort of going to be, like, where he sort of lands. But he'll kind of be all over the place with things for a while. Will Teyana go back into music because of this? Spirit said she's going to do something to sort of test the waters and see how both the industry and the GP responds. Like, we might see her do songs with some other artists or, like, drop a standalone single. And I do feel like at some point in the next couple years we'll get an EP out of her. But I feel like she's just going to pour herself into doing a lot of the artist development stuff that she's been doing. And I can honestly see her really running with that and making a huge career out of it. Because, she's been helping some of these girls with their stage presence and choreography and that kind of stuff. And I think that she does a really good job with that. And so I can see her really pouring herself into that, especially because, let's be honest, we've all said that artist development needs to be a thing again because they just shove anybody on a stage and let them flail around until they figure it out, versus in the 90s where, yes, I know things were so overly controlled, but at the same time, at least, it wasn't the first time that person had ever been on a stage because they just got lucky and had something go viral on TikTok and then they freeze on the stage. They got some kind of training, right? And so I feel like Teyana is going to be a part of, like, bringing that back and really making a business out of that. Will Teyana get married again? Spirit saying if she's probably going to end up doing the Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell thing. Where it's like, eventually I find my person, but we do a spiritual marriage type of a thing. But I don't feel like she's, gonna be in a rush to be super conventional and, like, get, like, legally married and do all that again. No, Hannah, Spirit saying Iman's not gonna end up in a place where he regrets this. He feels like things haven't been the same with them for a long time and he's just ready to move on, basically. So, well, exactly. But Teddy, that's why, like, I felt bad for Ice Spice. Like, when people were, like, dragging her, it was like, you can tell this girl has never performed. And they were just shoving her, like, in places. And you could tell, like, she was, like, scared like a deer in headlights. And I didn't think that it meant that, like, oh, she's not a good performer or a good artist. It was just like, you guys didn't prepare her and let her get used to that and comfortable with it enough. For God's sakes, like, I think most people would probably, you know, freeze and not do the best job if you just got thrown out there to start performing out of nowhere because your stuff went viral. We're not talking about her career right now, Alexis, so let's move on, you guys, because I do have to, you know, still call some clients and stuff after this. So let's see. I was like, who did we have on here? Hang on one second, guys. Oh, we've got Drake and Lil Wayne. So, what my Patreons wanted to know about Drake and Lil Wayne was, I couldn't pull up the whole title from the back room, so I had to pull it up on the other end so I could see it, because I was like, oh my god, I was gonna say somebody else, but I was like, no, that's not who we were picked for today. Yeah, Drake and Lil Wayne. So they wanted to know about their relationship with each other, since obviously at some point or another Drake has snaked everybody that helped him out in the beginning of his career, whether it was, you know, the stuff that he's done with Nicki, or, you know, sleeping with Lil Wayne's girlfriend when he went to jail, or his beef with Kanye. So they wanted to know how Drake and Lil Wayne feel about each other. So, please tell me how Lil Wayne feels and views Drake. Thank you. It kind of does, princess, right? Drake is just having the worst midlife crisis. No, Drake has been having an identity crisis probably his entire life, but definitely as soon as he stepped into the music industry. And so it's not a midlife crisis, it's an ongoing identity crisis, because Drake has been doing this. I mean, when he first started out, he was Mr. Soft Guy, and remember all of the let's go crying in the car memes, and Drake's the kind of guy to call your mom and tell her that he appreciates her because she gave him tuna casserole when he was over last Thursday, and like all those memes making fun of him and calling him soft. And then all of a sudden he wanted to be like Mr. hard-ass gangsta, and I came from the mean streets, and all of a sudden he grew up poor. Like, Drake, you grew up in one of the nicest neighborhoods. You went to private school and you were a child actor, but he wants to literally act like he grew up in the same ghetto and hood that like Lil Wayne did. And then he tried to be Jamaican for a while, and remember when he tried to be Cuban, and then he had his like Italian mobster's face. Like, he's always, it's basically, if anybody ever wants to know what Drake's next like era and personality is gonna be, just figure out what movies has Drake and TV shows has Drake been watching, because that's probably what influences it. Like, oh, I was watching Narcos, so then I wanted to pretend like I was some Colombian drug lord, so I started dressing like Pablo Escobar for a while, and then I was watching Cool Runnings, so I decided I want to be Jamaican. And it's just like, Dominican poppy face was disgusting. I mean, this is the thing with all of the talk constantly about cultural appropriation. I'm like, why does Drake's name never come up in any of those conversations? Because that's all he does is appropriate from other cultures and try them on like they're a fucking costume that he can wear to promote his next album. Right? I mean, I'm surprised that he didn't come out like trying to be Barbie and having his Barbie era, because that was the cool thing that was going on right now. So he definitely always gets a pass talking about Habibi things, right? Like he tried to be Arab. Like he's tried to be freaking everything except for just Black American and Jewish, which is what he is. So he is too damn much. Like Drake is so corny to me. So anyways, dude, they have fallen out so many times with each other and Wayne and Drake, and more times what the cards or spirit are saying than even we have publicly been aware of. Like, there's been plenty of times where they haven't even spoken to each other for 2 years. And then it's always Wayne that ends up, you know, outside of the you slept with my girlfriend, and then it was Drake's responsibility to, like, apologize and try to make up for that. What Spirit saying is, usually it is Wayne being like, okay, there's history here, let me check on him and see if he's okay. But Drake's gone around talking shit about Wayne behind his back, and that's been some of the arguments that they've had. He's taken opportunities from Wayne. He's definitely fucked Wayne over financially in the background that we have not heard about. When Wayne feels like he's always stepped up and fought for Drake and supported him and forgave him over and over. So, and we're not really getting into Nicki. I'm only saying this one part. Just like Nicki may on the surface want to remain in a place where she is cool with Drake. And again, a lot of that is because there's nostalgia there. You know, we built something together. We came up together. She'll never fully trust Drake again, and Wayne is the same way. It's like, I'll keep the relationship, but it's always going to be on a surface level, really, and about business more than anything. But I can't trust you. And that breaks Wayne's heart because he really almost felt like he was a dad to Drake. And I mean, really, it's so funny when we think about it, like, oh, like Wayne seems like such a big figure at the time. Wayne and Nicki are the same age. Because Lil Wayne and me and Nicki all have birthdays together. It's like, it's Wayne's birthday, then it's my birthday, and then it's Nicki's birthday, and we all turn the same age every year together. And Drake is only, what, like 4 or 5 years younger? So it's not like he's, like, really, really that much younger. But, like, Wayne feels like a father figure to the both of them because he signed them and he put them on and took them on tour and mentored them and taught them the business and fought for them to have opportunities when people didn't want to, you know, give it to them. And they gone in through certain doors just because Wayne's name was attached to them. So to him, it's really sad because it's like, you go around and talk shit about me like, motherfucker, nobody else was signing you. I did. Nobody else wanted to take you serious. I did. Like, that's a slap in the fucking face. No, that's why I said it's crazy because people think that Lil Wayne's like hella older than us, but we're all the same age. It's gonna be Wayne's birthday in like 2 weeks. I think his birthday's the 26th of September, or the 28th. It's like right in that last week, like right after it changes from Virgo season to Libra season. So, because he's a late September Libra. But yeah, no, he was born in 1982, just like me and Nikki. So that's why I was just like, but it's crazy because Wayne, even think about it though, like even when Nicki and Drake first like popped out on the scene, and obviously like Wayne was in all their music videos and stuff, he still seemed like he was way older than them. And when you look at those videos now, you're like, wow, Lil Wayne looks so young back then compared to how he looks now. But he still seemed like he was somehow older than them. I think a lot of that too, though, was because he was in the game since he was a teenager. So by the time that we did get to the Nicki and Drake era, Wayne was 27, 28, but he'd already been in the game for 15 years at that point. So I think we just thought he was older because he'd been around for so long. So, no, Drake doesn't have any real friends around him anymore. Let's see what Spirit of the Cards have to say about this. We're going to see some big bust up come up between the two of them in the future, though, you guys. Because there's something here about Drake getting in between Wayne and a deal that he's going to be trying to make. And Wayne is really going to need this money. I don't feel like Lil Wayne has financial issues currently. I want to state this. I feel like he wants this deal to come through because it's going to bring a cash flow. And then it's like, I can take that money and do other things with it that I wanted to do, because I do feel Wayne being in a situation, or a mindset, at least not a situation, but a mindset of, you know, I need to plan ahead for my future. I've got a bunch of kids. I want to make sure that, you know, I'm really beefing up businesses and long-term investments that can take care of me and my family. So he's, you know, looking at signing this deal that's going to bring a lot of money up front. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to use that money. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to do all this stuff. It's going to be for me and my kids. And then Drake somehow fucks all of it up. And that's really gonna mess up things for Wayne. And it feels like Drake is the one that ends up with the deal. So it's not, oh, I'm trying to sell masters or anything like this. It's some kind of a, you know, I'm gonna put out, be a partnership with Nike, something along that lines, and Drake gets in the middle, makes Wayne lose it, he takes it, and it won't be the first time, but it will be the biggest time, and it will be the last time, because after that, Wayne will be done with him, and it will be very public, and we'll hear about it. Because somebody's gonna leak. And this is the thing that Spirit's saying. Wayne's still gonna be respectful and nice about it, though. Like, when he's asked about it, you know, publicly, just like, yeah, I'm disappointed, but it is what it is. You know, I don't really... You know, he's not going to drag him or anything like that. That's not how Wayne rolls. And it's sad because I feel like Drake's going to be slimy about it and kind of bragging about it and throwing it around like, oh, look, haha. That's so Scorpio. Drake wanted power and control over his own mentors while seeming so innocent. Listen, I think Drake is a very big narcissist, number one. And narcissists, if y'all didn't know, usually have no idea who they are. They suffer from a thing called acquisition of traits, which means they surround themselves with people who have traits that they are like, oh, look, this person's funny, and that makes people give them attention and like them. So I'm going to try to copy their jokes and become like them, because then it'll bring me a new batch of admirers. So they're never genuinely themselves, and they're always like putting on all these masks and trying on new personalities. And that's why they cycle through people constantly, because, you know, when you've got that weirdo that's trying to be you, it's creepy and you don't want to be around him. So, yeah, he did that to Kanye too. I mean, I love that Kanye took that track, wrapped a poopity scoop over it, and released it so then Drake couldn't do anything with it just to piss him off. I mean, that's the funny thing about it, though. I'm like, Drake, like, your kind of petty as a Scorpio is not the same kind of petty as Kanye's as a Gemini. And Kanye's just gonna find, his air signs. We're gonna find a way to make a joke out of something and make you feel stupid. Like, we don't fight like, oh, I wanna, like, screw your mom, or do like the things that, like, water signs do to get back at people. We will literally find a way to, like, try to embarrass you and make a joke out of you, and that's like our way of getting revenge on people. So that's why I was just like, when he got mad about all that stuff, it's like, what did you expect? It's Kanye. Like, we've seen Kanye's been doing this shit forever. He called his mother-in-law Chris Jong-un, for God's sakes. I don't know what you would just expect from Kanye, the guy that stood on national TV and had no problem saying George Bush doesn't care about black people. Kanye is not going to sit there and just take your bullying, Drake. Because Drake's always got some sneaky snake shit going on with somebody. So nobody wants to go against Drake because the whole world loves Drake. Listen, Drake needs to freaking behave himself, because he's got a hell of a lot to hide, and he needs to stop being so damn cocky, because at some point he's going to piss off the wrong person and he's going to be the next Bill Cosby, Danny Masterson, whatever, and it's going to be his turn. Because listen, as much as people always want to be up in arms about the things that Kanye says, he was not lying when he said the industry loves criminals and they will protect them because they can control them. And then once you have nothing to offer them anymore, or you go against the wrong person, that protection is no longer there, and then you're being held to the consequences of your actions. Anytime that you see any of these celebrities, you guys, and if you want to know more about this kind of stuff, go to Patreon, because I talk about it all over there. Anytime that you see one of these people suddenly start getting exposed for crimes that they committed 20 years ago, it's because they no longer have that protection anymore. Something happens, and now it's like, oh, let's go ahead and let you go to jail. There's your punishment. Unless it's Tory Lanez. They set him up because he did that NFT thing and went independent and was making his own money and exposing the industry and encouraging other artists not to sign deals. He was making too much money and he was going to influence too many people to not be in a position to be controlled. So keep an eye on Russ. I wouldn't put it past anything that at some point, if too many people start taking Russ seriously, it'll be his turn. So this is what Spirit has to say as far as things go with Drake. It's so funny. It's like the first thing that Spirit said is Drake is looking for some new shenanigans to pull off because he's got this album coming. So get ready for the stunts, because, you know, he did that whole situation with the girl that looked like Kim on the motorcycle, you know, for the last one. And Drake honestly really isn't any different than Carlos when you think about it. I mean, Nikki does like the traditional thing. I'm going to go on the Tonight Show and go eat, you know, Cheddar Bay biscuits with Jimmy Fallon and talk about when I worked at Red Lobster, you know, and get some, what do you call some, you know, promote the song or the album or whatever. I'll do the radio interviews and stuff and go to talk to Zane Apple. Drake is like Carlos. I have to pull a stunt. I have to get in a fight with Kanye. I gotta fuck somebody over. I gotta have beef with somebody. I gotta be seen with somebody's baby mama. Like, I gotta do something. And so Spirit said he's still trying to decide on what malarkey and shenanigans he's gonna pull for his stunts. to get attention around this record because he hasn't fully decided yet. There is somebody that is threatening to expose Drake behind the scenes, and I do feel there is a lot of nerves around him right now, you guys. There's also I might need to get married to save my ass because people are going to say some not nice things about me and women soon. But if I have a wife, you know, then it can be, oh, look, I can't be that horrible person. You guys didn't know this whole time I was dating her and we were always going to end up getting married. Listen. It's like the same reason why Melania is not allowed to divorce Donald, because for some reason they think that him staying married to her is going to help him in his court cases. If y'all didn't know, allegedly, Danny Masterson's wife and him were separated, but she was coerced, allegedly, by the Church of Scientology to get her ass in that courtroom and play the dutiful wife who just loves her husband and he's the best dad and husband in the entire world, and she just has never seen a bad side of him because obviously that was gonna, you know, help humanize him in front of the jury when you're getting all these horrible accusations from women. But he's got a wife that says, oh, I've never seen that, and he's always been just a gentleman at home with me. So because she's coming up as the Queen of Pence with the Ace of Cups in reverse next to her, it's really, you're going to get paid very well for this to go be Drake's PR wife or girlfriend or fiance or whatever and, you know, trot around to help his reputation. This is still not the full of everything that he has done. This feels like a Lizzo type of a situation where there's some accusations that come out, it tarnishes the reputation, but is there really a real case against them or a real long-standing thing that can destroy them? But it's to humble Drake and to scare his ass because we know way worse about you and you're lucky that this is all we let get out. Get your shit under control and stop fucking with us. Warning that he is going to get from the industry. So it's coming. It's on the way. But he has some very dark secrets that he would like to keep hidden. So he needs to leave Wayne alone and worry about his own freaking dirt. I know, right, Mimi? Well, maybe he thinks that since 21 has been successful in hiding his mistress all the time, that... Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if he doesn't find somebody that lives in another country and then they'll use that as the excuse as to like how they were able to keep their romance hidden and why nobody saw them because, oh, well, she's an architect in Spain and, you know, or she's been in Greece or this or that, and that's why, like, we don't get to, nobody's been able to catch them together until now. So... Karen, the mistress from Ohio. You mean you don't want to talk about all of her yummy food that she posts that does not look at all delicious or appetizing, trying to prove a point? I'm sorry, I don't care. She could make a 5-star Michelin meal at this point and I would be like, that, no, I don't believe you that that tastes good. After I saw her put vanilla coconut milk in a bag of frozen corn and then hella fucking sugar and say that's how she makes creamed corn, I was like, no, I'm done with you, girl. That's not all how you make creamed corn. And why does it need to be vanilla flavored? He'll be like, if Kanye can get a random girl, I can too. That's what I feel like it is. Like, oh, like I'll just copy what Kanye did. He doesn't like her dry, wet cream corn. That was corn pudding. She just needed to add some cornstarch and gelatin. Let that shit kind of just sit there and cook down a bit, and she would have had herself some pudding. Well, she used vanilla flavored coconut milk was the cream, I guess, Teddy. Millie, if Drake contacts you to be his girlfriend, don't answer. Hey, shout out Mom's World and Millie, and if y'all haven't already, make sure you go check out the documentary on Discovery Plus and HBO, Fab Shots, the Tori and Megan story, so you can support our girl Millie because she makes an appearance in it. You can just skip to the second part. That's the part Millie's in. Nobody needs to listen to them trying to justify Mucus's side for any of the shit that happens. So I have to say, Millie was 100% on point when she called Alexander bought a Ken doll. Because when he first popped up on that documentary, I was like, oh shit, he does look like a Ken doll. Alrighty. Did you guys have any other questions about Drake and Wayne's relationship? Because Spirit said Drake, he'll be his normal, like, whatever, I don't give a fuck, and self about it. No, her descriptions of people are completely on point. Megan Cuniff looks exactly like Megan from Family Guy to me. The same eyes and everything. But when she came on the screen, I said, oh, there's old white leg pants. Okay, now it's glitching, of course. It was like we almost made it all the way through. We're not asking about Drake's career, guys. We're just talking about Drake and Wayne's relationship. Because I also have more that we got to look at, and then I got to get off of here. Well, Wayne's falling out with Drake. Hannah, we're only answering Nikki questions in Patreon. So, all right, let's just move on to the last topic, guys, because I do have to start wrapping it up. No, Mimi, it's YouTube and Mercury retrograde, so we're not going to do any more of them, you guys. Let's move on. So apparently the people are talking because Lionel Richie did a performance and he complained about how he's been trying to get Diana Ross back on stage with him to sing Everlasting Love Again for 37 years, and she's never done it, and he said, but she's up there singing happy birthday to that bitch Beyoncé. So people are saying that he doesn't like Beyoncé. Or is it My Endless Love? Sorry, it was like, I don't know why I said Everlasting Love, but you know what I mean. Their song together. We'll leave it at that. Yes, and listen, if everybody doesn't know, Lionel Richie and Diana Ross have been kind of like throwing funny barbs back and forth at each other for years. They don't have beef. He was just saying it to be funny. So the thing that everybody wanted to know was, how does he really feel about Beyonce? So that's what we're looking at. Please tell me, how does Lionel Richie feel about Beyonce? Does he like her? Does he not? I didn't even see that part, Princess, but I'm not really like online checking for Renaissance tour clips anyways. The dry humor didn't translate, I guess. Well, him and Diana said a lot of weird shit about each other over the years. People said that they're kind of like a frenemy situation. So I wouldn't be surprised if people in the industry have parties just to talk about Robot behind her back. Are you kidding me? They're probably too scared to talk about her amongst each other because they're like, what if somebody wants Rock Nation to manage them, you know, or like what if somebody gets mad and goes and tells Jay-Z what we said? Don't, you know, be careful who you say things to because they ruin careers. You guys, there was the craziest, weirdest, I guess maybe kind of funny video that I came across on Instagram Reels. It was some white guy with a shaved head. Somehow managed to have no chin and a double chin at the same time, you know, real rednecky. Was at a sushi restaurant and he made a little video and posted it and he's like, see, I can't escape rap music anywhere. It's in the sushi restaurant too. And it was literally a Justin Timberlake song playing in the background, and like in the comments somebody said, oh yes, that king of rap, Justin Timberlake, somebody let Jay-Z know so he can go home and stop trying to compete. And like, it was just funny the way that everybody was dragging the dude, but that comment just cracked me up because I was like, imagine that there was like beef between like Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake. Like that would actually be funny. So they just have to think it over and never let it show, right? I'll make up a lie about Robot and Kamala getting their BBLs together. They stayed in the same recovery house together. They had the same recovery nurse, Linda. When Kamala was in too much pain and she was waiting for her pills to kick in, Beyoncé sang Halo to her so she could relax. And then Kamala promised her, and her once the perks kicked in and her drug-addled haze, she promised Robot that she was going to help her out with her tax problems. But because she was all perked up when she said it, she forgot, and that's why the IRS is still after her. There's your story. Spread it around. Just kidding, allegedly. So anyways, don't sue me. I don't have any money. All you're getting out of me is a 10-year, no, it's older than that, 13-year-old Hyundai. Oh, really? I love T. I'll have to watch her. I love how she always says that she's a teenage girl in her late 20s. So, yeah, Lionel doesn't really actually think all that highly of Beyoncé. He feels like there were so many other, because, you know, he's been in the industry for a very long time. And so he feels like he's seen tons of people come and go, people who were obviously extraordinarily talented, that, you know, outside of the Whitneys and Mariahs, that they didn't really like get their shine in the industry because maybe they weren't willing to play the industry games. He's people that, you know, were flops and one-hit wonders and the Carloses of his eras. You know, that it's like, who let you in? Like, you have no freaking talent, you know, and he feels like Beyoncé has talent, but she's somewhere more in the middle. And he definitely feels like she's very much overhyped and overly worshipped and overrated. And it does get on his nerves because he feels like I've seen plenty of other people that would have busted their ass just as much that didn't get, you know, to where you are, and he doesn't really It's almost like I'm so aware of all the industry bullshit that you do. That's why I know that that's why you're seen the way that you are, because you are willing to so play the industry games. And he feels like her and her husband have basically like almost become like the mafia in the industry. Nobody can have an opinion about you. Nobody can make a move unless it's like, oh, don't step on Jay-Z's toes. That's gonna like piss him off, or he wanted to do that, or maybe Beyonce wants to do that. Better run it by them first. And he just feels like, why is everybody letting them get away with this? Like, who literally said, yes, you guys get to control everything, and we get to, you know, constantly have to kiss your butt. So it's just like that, like, annoyed and fed up, like, you do too much, and I don't really know, like, how you think that you deserve everything that you have annoyance with him more than anything else. So he just saw an opportunity to kind of let it out and say something and get it off his chest. And he kind of used Teyana as the excuse to do it. And he was hoping that people, if they did, you know, make an issue out of it, might more so be like, oh, he was being shady towards Teyana and not Beyonce. But Spirit saying to him, it was like, no, I don't really, you know, like, yeah, it's just the normal dynamic that I have with Teyana, that we complain about each other sometimes. But no, I meant that shit about Beyonce. I just don't also want to get in trouble for this. He's gotten calls. Somebody did not like what he said. He got a phone call. And to him, it's just like, yeah, this is exactly why I don't respect you guys and why I said what I said. Because it's like, you know, what he said wasn't even that bad. Let's be honest. You could say far worse about them, but... And I think it also just proves, because what was it? Didn't Joe Budden and Noriega both say that, like, you know, if you criticize anything, then you're going to get a call from Jay and he's going to be like, what are you doing? And, like, he kind of just, like, scares everybody, basically. Lionel got one of them phone calls. And he had to kind of clean it up just because it's like, I'm old. I don't need those kinds of problems, but... he don't like him. Shaka Khan shaded her too. Yeah. Legends don't respect her. They really don't. I mean, listen, I don't believe everything that Jaguar Wright has to say, but she did say that, you know, like, some people were kind of like put in a position, especially like at the beginning of Beyonce's career, where they felt like, or were told that they had to, you know, include her in stuff and shout her out and give her the cosigns, you know, like the Mary J. Bliges of the industry. And I think that that put a lot of people like a bad taste in their mouth too, because to them it's like, we didn't have the people ahead of us being forced to have to like give us a cosign. Which, think about that, you know? And we'll just use them as an example because I just said it. Nobody made Diana Ross get on stage and sing with Mary J. Blige just because the industry was like, Mary J. Blige is the next, you know, R&B artist or pop artist that we want to promote. Nobody forced Diana Ross to constantly be saying, oh, Mary J. Blige is such a good singer. No, you had to earn that shit. Like, you used to have to really bust your ass and prove yourself. And if you did get some kind of a shout out or a cosign, or somebody from the previous generations were willing to share a stage with you, it's because you proved yourself and earned that. And so... that's why when there's, you know, even in today where there's a lot of people like Nicki and other people, you know, Mariah Carey's another one, who are kind of slow to want to work with some of the new girls, or may even at times feel like, you know, they're kind of trying to keep themselves away from that stuff. It's this freaking give you a chance when I didn't get one. So... you know, I don't blame them, because it's like, it isn't fair. And they do that with certain people because it's like the industry already decided this is the position that we're going to put them in regardless of whatever else happens. And so because we have to legitimize this person so that the general public will accept them and see them as a superstar, we have to get other superstars to co-sign them rather than just letting them earn that shit. See, and that's the thing, princess. You know, people need to stop being generous, and we'll just leave it at that. We'll get into that stuff on Saturday and Patreon. But there's so many Hollywood stories where older acts would make the new acts cry because they sang their song in front of you. See? I mean, it's just, but you had to earn that. So, but that's what the industry does now, is just let's shove it down everybody's throat and let's force everybody to co-sign things, because there's so many industry plants that are being pushed right now that they're trying to force it on us, and they've got, you know, all these backups to backups to backups of industry plants. So it's like, oh, when you get tired of Glorilla, then you get Sexy Red, and when Sexy Red gets old and tired for you, we've got the next one lined up, and then the one after that, and the one after that, and the one after that. But in order to get us to support any of it and listen to it, then it's like, okay, well, we need Drake to bring them on stage. We need Moneybagg Yo to make a song with them. We need somebody else that's already popping, because then it gets the audience, and it does make people think, well, oh my God, if Moneybagg Yo is willing to do a song with them, if Drake is willing to put them on stage, then, you know, they must be good. And then you delude yourself into listening to something that you probably would not have chosen to listen to if it had any actual, like, organic anything to it. And also, guys, trust and believe that 99% of the stuff that goes viral on TikTok, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, look, they see, their song went viral and now they got signed. They already were signed. They signed that deal before you even knew who they were and before they were on TikTok. That is the label. Paying TikTok and working with the algorithms and stuff and pushing them on TikTok so that they go viral, so that it seems organic rather than just, oh, we picked this person from out of nowhere and stuck them in your face and hope that you're going to accept it. Which is why the industry is dying, and it's going to end up just being, you know, a microwave of standalone singles and people just constantly coming and going because they've completely lost sight of how to run this business properly, and it's honestly become like a madhouse. So, y'all, listen. There's definitely going to be some drama at the VMAs. Nicki's going to, I will say only this about Nicki, and again, we are not talking about her on YouTube anymore because people watch all these videos so that they can plot and plan. So, patreon.com/psychicbellelove, Barb's Tears, $3 a month. You have access to all Nicki stuff, and I'm allowing you guys access to the Kardashians live on Wednesday tomorrow too in there. But expect a little Miley what's good moment. So, and then just to clarify, we will be live at the same time on Thursday. We will take $5 donations to help a client of mine whose family is on the brink of not foreclosure, eviction. It's not anything that they could control, so they need to hurry up and get out of their place and find somewhere safe. So we're raising funds for that. So we will be doing celebrity questions and donations. If you want to ask about Nikki, though, just join the Patreon instead and come join our live on Saturday, because again, we're not going to answer Nikki questions publicly anymore. And if you want to help out, you can book a reading, psychicbellalove.com, and use code 50 at checkout to get 50% off any appointments, and 50% of your appointment will go to that client who is struggling at the moment. Thank you, Rayon. So thank you so much for the donation, but we gotta go, guys, because I literally have to call somebody in 5 minutes. So I will see you guys 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. This will be the new lives twice a week. Replay crew, I love all of you. Shout out to Lindsay. Thank you so much for doing the timestamps on the previous lives. I will go back and pin those later on when I get a moment to do so. I hope everybody has a great day. And if you are in Patreon or want to join the Patreon, we will be live in there tomorrow night with Dario De Niro. We put our detective hats on and we have an investigation to share with y'all about the Kardashians and their shady ass businesses and things that nobody else has uncovered or pointed out about them. It's a breaking story. So if you want to be a part of that, you can join us over there too. And that is the only place that I do take requests outside of, little standalone fundraisers. And I love everybody. Have a great one, guys, and I hope everything that you guys are working on, manifesting, and praying for comes to fruition for you. We all deserve to be happy. It is our birthright, and your ancestors love you so, so much. Just remember that. All right, guys. Bye.